Hey, Snickerdoodles. Just wanted to get on here real quick, and give you a heads up about the following video. I did it this weekend. It was on a day that I felt like crud. Um, just didn't feel good. I just kept my fuzzy pajama pants on and my big t-shirt on. Got some drainage. I think a lot of it is allergies because, like I said before, my car is still green from pollen. Anyway, I made 3 fall goodies, desserts, and I really wanted y'all to see it, so I set up my camera and I filmed me doing it, but you're not gonna see this, so I know y'all are excited, and I'm just gonna do a voiceover and show you what I did, and stay tuned. It's a good video, or it's not a good video, but it's good recipes that I think that y'all will really enjoy. We do, and we were able to share the love. So thank y'all. Stay tuned. Okay, friends, it's a fall baking desserts video for you. I'm starting out with making an apple pie. I found this crust recipe online somewhere, and it's made with flour, butter, and sour cream. And it was just a 3-ingredient pie crust. I made it exactly like they said, and it wouldn't come together. I added more sour cream. It still wouldn't come together. So I added some water to the point that it did come together, and then I let it sit in the refrigerator a couple of hours. And I don't like this pie crust. It tastes okay, but it was terrible to work with. It just kept fraying and coming apart, and I won't be sharing that recipe. You can see how the ends did. Anyway, it was not a good pie recipe to work with. So anyway, I thought it was neat making it with sour cream, but I don't like it. So anyway, we'll move on. I'm tucking it into my deep dish pie plate that I have here, and I just kind of tuck it all under and crimp the edges. I'm not a beautiful pie maker, but anyway, this is my apple peeler that I got from Amazon. I really, really like it. I've only used it a few times. I used it on some pears and some apples. Oh, and I did do potatoes on it too. Um, it doesn't do as good as a job as I guess a lot of the higher dollars. And I do have the crank style, the old-fashioned crank style, which I mean they still sell them now, where it cores it, slices it, peels it for you. But I kind of like this because you just like put it in there and turn it on, and it peels it for you. Now it does not core and does not slice, but I'm okay with that. So these apples that I'm using are Honey Crisp. Crisp. Now these are a crisp apple for an apple pie, so they don't get totally soft and mushy. There's my Instagram. Check me out. They still make a little bit of a firmer apple in the apple pie, but you can use whatever apple you like. And so I'm doing, I think 6 or 7 apples. I think the recipe called for 6 medium apples, and these are pretty small. Let's see how many I ended up with. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I used 7 of the smaller ones. And I am having to go and trim off the top, and cut and slice them. Like I said, that peeler doesn't do that, but that's okay. I like just setting it on there and pushing a button, and it just for you. So I'm getting these sliced up, just not very thick at all. I tried to show you how thick I was doing it, but the camera wouldn't focus on it. So there's you a blurry picture of how thick you do it. So I'm just going to sit here or stand here and work and get all these cut up. Look how fast I do it. I mean, I am a phonic woman fast. Ah, the pleasure of being able to fast forward through a video so I don't bore you to death. Okay, we got them all cut up. And I'm going to add a tablespoon of lemon juice to this. That's going to help them from turning brown before we get done mixing everything up in it. Give them a little toss around in the lemon juice bath. And now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of flour. This is, of course, just plain all-purpose flour. And then I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, because you can't have apple pie without cinnamon. Then I'm going to do 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. I've got my teaspoon in there, and I'm trying to get it to 1/2 instead of getting my 1/2 teaspoon and doing the 1/2 teaspoon. I like to make it a little challenging. Then about a teaspoon of salt. And we'll get all that mixed up. Make sure all the spices and stuff is covering each and every delicious apple morsel. I wish we'd had some vanilla ice cream when this came out of the oven. That would have been delicious. Okay, now I'm going to be adding the sugar, and this is just white sugar, and it's 3/4 of a cup. And instead of getting my 3/4 of a cup measuring cup out, I decided to eyeball it. Mixy, mixy. Voila. Okay, I'm getting my second pie crust that I dislike. And it's not the taste. The taste was fine. It was just the texture of it. I'm gonna roll that out because you do need a pie crust to go on top of your apples. Same thing here, roll it out. I don't like how I get rolled out. But we work with it. Okay, and goes the seasoned up, sugary, cinnamony, nutmeggy apples. A lot of people have apple pie during the 4th of July. It's the all-American pie. But I just always associate apple pies with fall. And I guess because apples come in the fall. That's why. And I'm just crimping, tucking. I didn't want the edge of the pie crust to be so thick, so I did cut off the excess instead of tucking it in. Y'all have those little rat eyes? I've had a couple of them for years and years, and I think a couple that we had was my husband's grandmother's, and I love those things. Those are some good knives. Now you do have to sharpen them every so often, but I love them. Rada, R-A-D-A. A lot of people do. Oh, look, I'm doing the egg wash, and I pulled out my broken brush that y'all have seen me use 100 times. Well, not 100 times, a couple of times, because I hadn't made that many videos. Um, and I forgot that I had bought me one at the dollar store last week, so I pulled out my new one. And that might be why my handles and stuff break off, is because I buy cheap ones, but it's okay. I feel like when I'm making a voiceover on here and talking to y'all watching, I feel like I'm talking to like my best friend, or that's one of the reasons why I said, you say me use this brush 100 times. Well, you watching have not, but people close to me have. And I'm cutting my little vent holes. It's supposed to look like apple seeds, I think, when you do it like in that configuration. Oh, I bought me a pie crust saver, or whatever you call it. Got a 2-pack on Amazon. So yay, me! And I am going to put it on the cookie sheet. It's not dirty, it's just stained up looking. And there it is, out of the oven. It's delicious. I let that cook for about 45 minutes. It looked pretty at least, but it is delicious. Okay, moving on. This is my favorite muffin. I make these all the time. I love them for a breakfast muffin. I'll take one of these bad boys to work with me, and it fills me up, and I'm just not really hungry for several hours, and I eat a really light lunch. So here I've got 1.5 cups all-purpose flour and a half a cup of old-fashioned rolled oats. Don't use the instant. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of baking soda, not powder, soda. I love these things. And then we're going to add about 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. And half a teaspoon of salt. I just kind of just put a pinch in there. I'm just going to mix all that up. And I'm using my measuring spoon for whatever reason to do this, but that's okay. These muffins are great. I'll put them in a Ziploc bag and I'll grab one in the mornings. And I got like a little small microwave, deep round container. And I'll put it in the microwave for about 15 seconds and get that chocolate melted. Oh, they're sinful. Okay, the recipe calls for 2 ripe bananas, and these are like super long. These were big old honking bananas, so I just did 1.5, and then when you weren't looking, I ate the other half. And these could have been riper, but I really wanted to make these. I made them in the last 2 weeks, and I was missing them, so I just kind of mashed them up with the fork. Then we're gonna add 3/4 cup of brown sugar. This is the brown sugar that I make. It's very easy to make your own brown sugar, and it's so much better. I'm using my organic cane sugar, which is just my white sugar that I use, and blackstrap molasses, organic blackstrap molasses. And to about every cup of sugar, I'm gonna add maybe about a couple of teaspoons. I know it by sight how I like it. But you just start mixing until you get it to the color that you like. And you just mix it up real good and you put it in a airtight container and voila, you have brown sugar. And the recipe here calls for 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. I was thinking that it said 3/4 cup of vegetable oil. I should know this by now. But anyway, so I did, I poured that in, and I was like, "Oops," and so I dipped some of it out. So I think I ended up with about 1/2 cup of, and it's not vegetable oil I use, it's avocado oil. And they turned out perfect, so the oil was fine. Adding 2 eggs. Mixing all that up. And then you wanna do about a teaspoon of vanilla. I do it, you know, I love vanilla extract, especially in desserts, of course, and, um, I just do a glunk. I'm gonna add my dry mixture in. Just doing a little at a time. Do about half. I'll throw the other half in there in just a second. There we go. Dump and go. But you'll see here in just a minute, you add chocolate chips to these, which just makes them, so good. Um, I've always used just the regular size semi-sweet morsels, and I had ran out. I didn't have any more of those, and so I had the mini ones. So I added the mini ones to this one that I'm making, and I think I like the regular size better in here, or maybe I should have added more of the minis. It calls for 3/4 cup of chocolate chips, semi-sweet chocolate chips. And maybe I didn't add enough because you know me, I was just eyeballing. But I think I like the regular size better because you can taste the chocolate better. And I'm a chocoholic. But you get all that mixed up together, and then I use big old jumbo muffin tins, and I give it a good spray. I've never had a problem with these sticking, so I don't need to use baking papers. So you're gonna fill these up maybe about 3/4 the way full, and it usually will make the full 6. And if you use the regular muffin tins, it would probably make a dozen, but the big ones. And then you top it off. I'll give it a good shake and get it all down in there. And then you top it off with some more chocolate chips. Of course. Banana and oatmeal kind of gets knocked to the side on the healthy aspect of it, but I still consider it kind of healthy. They're very, very filling. Into the oven those go, and bake these on 350 for probably about 20-25 minutes. Okay, that's pumpkin pie spice I'm putting into this. And this is going to be pumpkin cream cheese muffins. So I have got 1 3/4 cup of flour. I have got about a tablespoon of pumpkin spice. I have got a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. And it calls for a 15-ounce can of pumpkin, but this is some of my butternut squash that I had left over from when I made freezer meals. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it to what a can would be. And for some reason, I've sat here and looked at this, why I'm using this whisk to mix up this stuff and it all gets stuck in the middle like that. I'm like, Kathy, you know better. Okay, so I'm gonna add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Where'd I go? Come back. Oh, I want to get eggs. 2 eggs. And look at me. I grabbed that same bulbous wire whisk to do this. Don't don't be like Kathy. I've got my recipe over there on my phone. Okay, and this calls for 1/2 a cup of vegetable oil. That was my 1/2 a cup measuring cup. And I use avocado oil. If you ever see me using oil, especially out of that white jug thing right there, that's avocado oil. I use it as a neutral oil for almost everything. Okay. I'm gonna add in our dry ingredients. Now this recipe called for 1/2 a cup of brown sugar plus a cup of granulated sugar. I didn't add the cup of granulated sugar. Should I have? No, not really. You might could add about a 1/2 a cup of granulated sugar to it. It wasn't too sweet. I really enjoyed it, and with the cream cheese topping on the top, it was delicious because the butternut squash has got a sweetness to it, and I just thought a whole cup of sugar, would be overkill, so I just didn't add it. And I'm kinda glad that I did. I mean, my husband loved these. He says, "I like because they're not so sweet." And we both love sweet, sugary desserts, but this just it just tasted good. It was really good. Look at my little paper baking cup liners. They look like a Hostess cupcake. I thought those were so cute, and then I thought, "I need to find a recipe for Hostess cupcakes," like a mock one, faux one, or whatever, but those were my last 12, so I don't know if I can find them again. I don't even remember where I got them, but that would be so cute, don't y'all think so? Okay, there we go with the pumpkin. Right here, I've got 1 large egg yolk, and I've got 8 ounces of cream cheese, and a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, white sugar, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. We're gonna give this a beating. I decided to pull out my hand mixer because I didn't think that the cream cheese was still pretty cold. I didn't think that I could get it beat up with my arm. So now I'm going to take this. I've seen several variations of this where you take it and you swirl the cream cheese mixture all through the pumpkin cupcake mixture. I just kind of decided just to glop it on top like an icing, but a cooked icing, I guess. They turned out good. I think next time I will try. I would probably get like a butter knife, and I did kind of like smooth it all out with a toothpick. But I think I would get a butter knife and I would really just swirl it into the pumpkin batter. Or there's my favorite muffins. Those turned out yummy. So there's my muffins. There's the apple pie. Okay, it's pretty, but it tasted good. And then there's the pumpkin muffins. Thank y'all for joining me today. I hope you try these recipes. Mwah! Appreciate you being here. Don't forget to subscribe.